Greetings, listeners. Welcome to Consulting Between Friends. I am your host, Michael Holmes Jr. As an individual, we have to become our inspiration in life. We all have things we desire and dream of. The first step is believing that you can accomplish anything. Some people have trouble believing in themselves and appreciating what abilities they have. Some individuals have a problem loving themselves, and this is a lack of self love. Your self worth is essential to your mental health. Throughout life, we all going to run into obstacles. These can occasionally change our path in life. Self love is accepting yourself wholeheartedly, treating yourself with kindness and respect, and prioritizing your physical and emotional health. Some people have trouble accepting who they are and who they become. People question themselves around others and think about how others will view them. When a person lacks self love, they may need to seek professional help. A professional can provide advice and a place where the person can discuss their problems. In this episode, I will interview a self love expert named Karishma Gotham. Karishma will discuss why self love is essential to everyone. The topic is self love, the key to happiness. We will return after a message from our sponsor. Everyone is always planning things, and advertising is needed to make it happen. So, if it's personal or business, let Pinpoint Designs and Images solve that problem. With Pinpoint Designs and Images LLC, you will receive quality work and professional service at a great price. The service that is offered: flyers, business cards, programs, invitations, photo books, ad booklets, and much more. Michael Holmes Jr., owner/principal designer of Pinpoint Designs and Images LLC, contact me by email or social media. Email address is pinpointdesignsandImages@gmail.com, and Instagram Pinpoint Designs, and Facebook Pinpoint Designs and Images. We are back. Individuals who have trouble loving themselves need motivation and determination from others. They need to be around positive people. Also, they need to believe in themselves first to accomplish anything. There are steps someone can take to improve their self love. Self love steps. 1. Self compassion. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding. 2. Set boundaries. Prioritize your well being. 3. Practicing self care. Getting enough sleep or enjoying a hobby. 4. Celebrating your achievements. Treat yourself to something you enjoy. Reflect on your growth. 5. Positive self-talk. Replace self-critical thoughts. 6. Self acceptance, embracing your flaws, quirks, and imperfections. 7. Seeking support, recognizing when you need help. 8. Embracing self discovery, engaging in activities that help you better understand yourself. Obstacles of self love. 1. Perfectionism. If I can't do it perfectly, there's no point in trying. 2. Self criticism. I'm not good enough. I would never measure up to others. 3. Guilt and self sacrifice. Taking care of myself is selfish. I should always put others' needs first. 4. Fear of judgment. What will others think of me if I prioritize my needs? 5. Internalizing negativity. I don't deserve happiness or self care. I'm not worthy of love. After a short break, we will return. We are back. Before the interview begins, I want to give you some background on Karishma Gautam. Karishma is from India and currently lives in Australia. Karishma is a self loving expert. Karishma is a determined woman who is a feminist leader. Karishma offers unique and impactful courses based on the modalities like neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy. Karishma has a passion for women's empowerment, which motivates her. She is on a mission to help 1 million women worldwide by 2025 fall in love with themselves. It is her passion and purpose in life to support and uplift women, helping them realize their strengths, courage, and resilience. My guest is Karishma Gautam. Now, welcome to Consulting Between Friends podcast.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That is great. So, I know you're located in another country. Do you mind telling me what country you're located in?
I'm in Australia.
Okay. So, since you're in Australia, how's the weather out there?
It's hot and sunny. It's really hot and sunny. The sun is shining bright.
Well, that's good. Here in New Orleans, Louisiana, it just started getting sunny here like today because we had bad weather the last several days, but the weather is going to be nice the whole weekend. So I'm looking forward to that.
That sounds like awesome. That sounds awesome.
Thank you. Um, do you mind telling me about your background?
So I was born and brought up in India. I've been in India for about first 20 years of my life. And at the age of 22, I moved to Australia for some professional further education and professional growth. And there were I I have done hotel management, bachelor's in hotel management from India, and then came when I came to Australia, when I pursued my master's in the same. After which I was working in a hotel for a fair bit of time. Eventually, there was a time when I realized that this is not really what I want to do full time, and it's not really what working for me. So I end up losing that job. Like I was holding on to that job, even though I knew I was not aligned to it. I was holding on to that job because of the fear of not having enough money to survive.
Hmm.
Eventually, there was a time when I had a big fight with my manager and I got fired. So that was like the turning point of my life and the realization that now now I have the freedom to do what I really want to do instead of pushing myself to go for a job which I hate.
Hmm.
So yes, then I started working on myself, my own personal growth, and eventually started a business on self-love coaching to help women embrace self-love and build up self-confidence and self-esteem, improve self-esteem.
Hmm. Oh, that sounds good. I see you have a nice story to tell. And I realize you actually found yourself. Well, since you just said all that, that's going to lead into the interview we're about to start. So the first
Um,
question is, what is your profession and what led you to it?
so as I said, I am a self-love coach. I help women with empowering them, helping them improve their self-esteem and self-confidence, increase their realize their self-worth. And the reason I started this is because I had my own history of lack of self love and low self esteem growing up and a part of my adulthood, which was mainly because of childhood conditioning, the messages I got from my parents growing up, the belief that I was fed into that I need a job to earn money and I need to stay safe and secure in a job and etc. In as part of with relationship area, I was told that you need a man to complete you, and because you are a woman, you need to find a partner by a certain age and get married. And getting married was something I really it was one of my big dreams to find a compatible partner and get happily married, and
Mhm,
unfortunately it didn't happen by the time I was hoping for it to happen based on what I was told by my parents that by this age you need to be married. It didn't happen by that age, so that was really the dark night of the soul of my life, that realization that I may never get married because of the conditioning I got from my parents that because you cross that age, you won't find a compatible partner. And then I really struggled with a lot of self doubt and wondered if I am even worthy of having a partner in my life because I haven't had one. So maybe it's something about my self worth that I don't have a partner. So something is must be wrong with me. So that was around just around that time when I lost my job that these issues started having in my life, and part of the reason is part of the reason that I stayed in a job that wasn't working for me is obviously because of my lack of self love. I didn't had the courage to speak up for myself and say that this is not what I really want to do, and instead of quitting the job, I stayed in the job that I hated. So once I reached that breaking point, that realization that I may never get married and I may never find a man of my dreams, I really started working on myself and clearing my own beliefs about relationships, belief about men, and realize that how I have so many limiting beliefs that we can really find a partner at any age in our life. It's like there is no such thing as it's too late. People, I know people who get married at 70, 80 years of their age, at 70, 80. So it's really no such thing as it's too late. And when I was only around 30, I was beginning to lose hope on finding a partner because of the beliefs I got growing up from my parents. So that was the time when I started getting clear on what I believe about myself, my own self worth, along with beliefs about men, relationships, and getting rid of the beliefs that were really not aligned with me, not working for me. For example, beliefs like men would only want me for one thing, they would only take advantage of me. I need to just stay away from them. And once I got rid of those beliefs that were not working out for me, and once I work on my own self worth, improving my own self confidence, etc., I realized how much this issue is prevalent among women. Like, I am not the only unique one who went through the low self doubt and lack of self love in her life. I realized how much this is prevalent among women. So I decided to become a self love coach to help women overcome what I myself overcome in my life. And
Hmm.
that is how it came about, the fact that I became a self love coach.
Oh, I like the story you just said. So since you say you're a self-love coach, what is the name of your business?
So it is Elevate Self Love. My website is elevateselflove.com.
Okay. Now, while I heard you speaking, you say some stuff your parents told you. So why you think they were telling you all that type of information while you were growing up?
So they had their own, they got their own beliefs from their parents, from their, when they were growing up, they got their own beliefs that they got from their parents, and they just passed on the beliefs that they had. For example, uh, I'm sure you have heard of generational trauma. Like, it passes on from one generation to another generation until someone realizes that this trauma is not, I want to pass on to the next generation, and
Hmm.
they start working on the healing so they can pass on the generational healing to the next generation after them. Similarly, there are beliefs that go on from one generation to the next generation to another generation. So it was like, in the beginning, like my great grandparents, they had the belief that if you are a woman, you need to find a compatible partner, get married, and settle down. And if you don't do it by a certain age, it's too late for you. And they passed on to my grandparents, then they passed on to my parents. And
Hmm.
plus, like uh, being a woman, like, I'm sure if you go back to 100 years ago, it was like the independence and the growth that the empowerment that the feminine has had now, it wasn't very popular in the past state. So, and based on the beliefs about women in the past stage, in about 100 years ago, the same beliefs were passed on at this same beliefs were passed on to the present generation as well. Even though the women are now modernized and find their own career path instead of depending on a man, the beliefs were still the same. So it was part of that too, that my parents told me that go and find a partner. You need to find a partner to get married. You need to have a man, and like, you can have your career if you want, but you better find a partner. So that was part of the reason that my parents gave me the beliefs that they got from their parents, who got from their parents, and it was kind of just passed on to the next generation.
Hmm. Well, all that makes sense. I can also agree with you're basically saying because each generation they usually do all that, but the current generation are changing a lot of things, and so like women empowerment and things like that is becoming more popular, and people are trying to get married more, and some don't want to get married, and some are choosing over their career instead of getting married and have a family and things like that. But it sounds like you wanted to have it. It just seemed like you couldn't really get it. And then we're hearing all the types of stuff your parents were saying. It seems like it kind of like made you depressed or just took your willpower away, it seems like, as well. And I can see that, and I don't like that they actually did that, but sometimes you can't sometimes you can't help what your parents really say, basically. Did they believe that you would ever get married, or they thought maybe you could never get married?
I definitely believe that I will get married eventually one day. Like at present, also I'm not married. I know eventually it will happen. Now I know that eventually it will happen one day. But
Hmm.
before I started working on my own beliefs, my own trauma, the messages I got from my parents, etc., it was at that time. There was this belief that now I have reached this age, it may never happen, or if it will happen, then I will have to settle for someone who is less than or who I don't really like, who I'm not attracted to. I will have to settle for someone like that because of, obviously, because of the beliefs I got from my parents. Like, if you don't get married by a certain age, it will be too late because all good ones will be taken. So you will have to settle for someone who is second best. So that
Hmm.
was part of the belief that I really needed to let go of.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you have to let go of it. I hate to say, you mind me asking, how old are you, if you
I
don't mind
am
saying?
38. I am
Oh, okay.
38.
Hmm. Well, to let you know, I am 42. I am not married. I did want to get married. I kind of think I still want to. It's a long story as well, but I'm hearing your conversation. I realize self-love is important. Some people don't know how to get into self-love. So it's good that you decided to actually start your own company talking about self-love, and you realize that it benefited you. So you want to share what you learned about yourself and to others, correct?
Yes. That.
What are some great self-love tips you can offer the listeners?
So one of my top tip that I often offer to my clients as well is going in front of the mirror, looking into your eyes, and just staying still, looking deep into your eyes for about a minute or so. And when you are ready, saying to yourself, I love you, and then adding your name in the end. So, for example, for me, it is, I love you, Karishma. And this is, it's like a mirror verb because you are looking at the mirror and saying to yourself, I love you. And
Mhm,
the reason so reason this exercise is so transformational is because eyes are the window to the soul. And if especially if you have done this exercise, when you are doing this exercise for the first time, it is kind of a very emotional experience because when you are looking at yourself in the eyes, all your judgments come to the surface of how many times you may have judged yourself and ridiculed yourself or called yourself names that really weren't most nice names that you should call yourself, like for example calling yourself fat, ugly, etc. All that
mhm,
judgments come to the surface when you are looking into your eyes in the mirror, because eyes are the window to the soul. And then you realize that I really haven't been loving myself. So when you do that exercise, it's become a very emotional experience and kind of makes you cry. And
mhm,
sometimes it is really difficult. For example, if you have been judging or ridiculing yourself or calling yourself names for like maybe 20, 30 years, and then one day you decide to go in front of the mirror and say I love you, it's going to be difficult because that 30 years of judgment and mm, laughing, making fun of yourself in front of others, calling yourself names like stupid, ugly, etc. That 30 years of that all that negative self talk won't really won't really get erased by just one time saying I love you, and it's kind of very difficult experience to do that. So for example, if you go and say to yourself I love you, and then maybe your brain will argue and kind of fight back that no, you don't love yourself, who are you kidding, yesterday you called yourself stupid.
Mhm.
So instead of, if that is the if that is the case, and if it is so difficult for you to say I love you, then I encourage my clients to, instead of saying I love you and then saying your name, just say I am learning to love myself, while doing the same experience, while looking in the eyes, looking in front of the mirror in your eye, on your eyes, and saying to yourself, I am learning to love yourself. I am learning to love myself, because that is more, less kind of traumatic for your brain. Like your brain can't argue with the fact that you are learning. You can learn anything you want at any age. So, regardless of what may have happened in your life in the past, so even if you may have had a lot of self hate in the past, and then one day you will go in front of the mirror and say, I'm learning to love myself. Your brain won't say that no, you can't learn because you have been hitting yourself all this time. So yes, I do encourage my clients to do one of the two things at least and see how that makes them feel.
Mhm. Now, I like that part you say look in the mirror because really, when you get up in the morning, you do look in the mirror, but you might not really think about it in that way. So that is one good tip you like I mentioned as well. Do you have any others you like to share?
Any others is doing affirmations. Definitely doing affirmations, saying I am beautiful, I am intelligent, and it's like we so often we will say I am stupid, I am ugly, but we won't commonly say the positive side of how we have done well. For example, if you stub your toe in the morning, you will say I'm so stupid I did that. But if you have done well in your career, if you have achieved something big, you won't say I am so intelligent, I am so happy I did that. So
Mhm.
yeah, it is like we are more drawn to saying negative about yourself. Plus, like if you receive, it's like the same thing. If you receive 10 compliments and one negative criticism, we are more focused on the fact that we got a negative criticism instead of the fact that we got 10 compliments.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can actually agree with what you're saying.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And yes, like again with the mirror exercise, like when we are kids, like you said you are not married, so maybe you don't have kids, but if you have any kid around you, like your sister or brother or any niece or nephew you have around you, you may have noticed that they are very comfortable looking in front of the mirror and looking in the mirror at themselves. They would kind of go in front of the mirror and make faces and laugh at themselves and enjoy seeing themselves in the mirror, and kind of sometimes wonder that who is that other person in the mirror who I
Mhm.
can't see. Like I can only see them in front of the mirror. If I go away from the mirror, I can't see them. But as we grow older, because of the beliefs we get from our parents, media, the messages we got from other people, we build up, make up beliefs that we are not very loving or we are not worthy. And then we tend to avoid looking at ourselves in the mirror because of the fear that if we look at ourselves in the mirror, all our judgments will come to the surface, and then we will kind of start hating ourselves because of the fact that we have been judging ourselves. So we completely avoid the mirror. But I encourage my clients, even if you have been hating the mirror for like 30 years of however long you maybe have been hating, avoiding looking at the mirror, I encourage my clients to just start today. And even if, as I said, if saying I love you to yourself is so difficult, start by saying I'm learning to love myself, which is a lot easier. And slowly, as you get better, as you progress in your self love journey, you can start saying I love you.
Hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that saying I love you. Because that you have to actually love yourself first. And sometimes it may be difficult, but that's like the first step.
Exactly.
Because they even say smiling is good, but sometimes people don't smile. They may smile, but um, just don't think about it right away.
Exactly. It's like we can, we, most of us will want other people to love us. Most of us want our friends, families, our romantic partners, etc., to love us, but we are not willing to give that love to ourselves. And like it's uh, irony that we think we are worthy of having love from other people, but we don't think we are worthy of giving ourselves the same love.
Hmm. I can agree with that. We all go through ups and downs. Can you tell us a rough time in your life and how were you able to overcome it?
So the most roughest time in my life was when I lost my job. I didn't had an income, as I said, and it was like realizing what I really want to do. Like as I said, I realized that I don't want to go back to another job because it's not working for me. But I wasn't very clear on what I actually want to do at that time. And plus, because I didn't started my self love journey at that time, I wasn't. I was still in that self doubt and self hate and scared that I don't have the self confidence to do what I want. So that was also the fact that it was showing on my face, and kind of scared that what will happen in my life. So that was kind of the lowest point in my life, where I kind of hit rock bottom. And what I did to come out of it is definitely focusing on gratitude, realizing what I'm grateful for. And it's like it's finding gratitude for finding gratitude in your life. It's easier when everything is working out, but it's difficult when you are at your rock bottom and you're like, there is nothing to be grateful for because I don't have a job, I
Mhm,
don't have an
mhm,
income. But yes, at that time it's really when you need to focus on gratitude the most. And I started writing out my gratitude journal at that time. At that time, it's actually when I started doing gratitude journal and started writing out the things I'm grateful for. And it can be as little as having the roof over my head, even though I wasn't able to pay the rent because I didn't had the job. But landlord, my landlord was he. I did had a good rental history, and my landlord, I have been living in his place for about a year or so. So he knew about my situation. He knew that I'm kind of not a scammer who will run away with his money, and I will pay when I'm able to. So he allowed me to live when I was not able to pay the rent. He allowed me to live and said that when you can sort out your situation, you can pay later. So yeah, that was it. Kind of the little things, and telling yourself like, even though you don't have maybe don't have the job, don't have that big things in your life that you may want, you at least have your hands, your legs, everything, like your body is functioning normally, which is at least it is better than someone who may not have their hands or legs, who may be hospitalized in the hospital for some serious health issue. It is at least better than that. So being grateful for what you have is it's really the starting point when you have hit rock bottom. And
mhm,
then focusing on self love and realizing that you are worthy of loving yourself.
Yes, I agree with that. Loving yourself is really important. I mean, I like what you mentioned about your job and also your landlord. That was really nice that he let you stay there, even though you was unable to pay at the moment. He let you pay as you could. So that was very nice, especially what you were going through. He was able to understand that. That was very, very nice.
Yes, I am. We have like I don't live at his place anymore because he decided to sell the house. But I am still on talking terms with him. Like we are kind of friends now,
Hmm.
and I sometimes every now and then we do meet up and catch up and talk to each other on what's happening in our life.
Oh, that's a good thing. Hmm. Yep. Why do you believe people have a hard time loving themselves?
It's all about the conditioning we have got from society, media, our parents. Like we may have been told that self love is selfish, prioritize other people over yourself. Other people are more important, take care of them. That kind of that self sacrificing nature, sacrificing yourself for others. And again, it's like it's good to, I'm not saying you ignore everyone else and just prioritize yourself. That is kind of narcissistic behavior, but at
Hmm.
least the way you are prioritizing others, at least give yourself the same priority, if not a little more. It's not like you are ignoring the whole world and saying that I am the only one who is the best and you all are bastards. Excuse my language.
It's okay.
But at least give yourself some priority, at least treat yourself with some priority in your life instead of completely ignoring yourself. And again, it's like uh, mostly it happens with women a lot. Like growing up, you may be conditioned with because your husband is your first priority. Treat him with importance, or take care of your kids. They are your more. They are more priority, more prioritizing in your life, more important in your life. For example, it happens often that the female in the family is the first to wake up and the last to go to bed because she has to take care of the whole house, including her husband, her kids, getting them ready for school, getting him ready to go to work,
Mhm.
her husband getting him ready to go to work, and then she is completely ignoring herself and prioritizing her relationship, her husband, her kids over herself. And again, I'm not saying you ignore your husband or your kids, but at least treat yourself with the same importance.
Mhm.
But it again, it's the conditioning we received growing up. It's also about the how your parents treated each other. Like if your mother prioritized your husband, if your mother prioritized her husband, like your dad, if your mother prioritized her your dad over herself, chances are if you are a woman you are likely to portray the same relationship pattern in your own relationship. You are likely to give the same more importance to your husband because that's what you learned from your mother,
Yes, your
unless you
parents.
work on reframing that, unless you realize that that is the pattern your mother was playing and it was not really working for her, and you work on reframing that pattern.
Mhm. Yeah, your parents can play a big part in some things, but you can change that for yourself, but sometimes it's just really difficult, correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm. Do you think, since you just mentioned about women, do you think it falls on both genders, basically, or all genders? I'm just curious.
Yes, it definitely falls on both genders, all genders, I think. Like self love is something we all need,
Mhm.
both men and women, we all need self love. And like all gender, self love is important for even LGBTQ community. It's something we all
Mhm.
need. It's a
Mhm.
requirement. However, though, like I have noticed that it's something that happens more often in women. The
Mhm.
lack of self love and low self worth, it's happened more often in women than in men. For example, even if you consider like going applying for a job, chances are based on the consideration they may have mentioned for what they are looking for in a potential employee,
Mhm.
what the employer may have mentioned, what they are looking for in an employee. Chances are, if a man and a woman both are considering applying, the man is more likely to apply if even if he meets 6 out of 10 of that criteria of what they are looking for. However, a woman will probably only considering applying if she meets at least 3 to 4 of the criteria that are mentioned in the what they are looking for about that employee. She won't consider applying it if at least if she doesn't have at least 3 or 4 of that. However, a man will consider applying if he at least has 6.
Mhm. So why do you think it affect women more than men?
It's again about the conditioning that we get growing
Mhm.
up, and it's again it happens more often in Eastern countries, I think, not so much in Western.
Mhm.
In Eastern countries, it's more often that the we have been conditioned to prioritize other people above ourselves, especially as women. We have been
Mhm.
prioritized to treat other people with more importance than ourselves. It's
Mhm.
not so often in Western countries because we are more, I think, more aware and more accepting of self love than what we are in Eastern countries.
Mhm.
Though the world seem to be progressing even in Eastern countries now, it's progressing and changing even in Eastern countries, but it's obviously a slow process. And again, as I said, like in 1950s, it was not so common for a woman to go out and work a job, which
Mhm.
is common now.
Correct.
However, even though the world has evolved and progressed in the fact that women are more empowered now, they haven't worked on their inner self, their inner belief, and because in in 100 years ago, since they didn't go out to work, they were not treated with respect by their husband or family mostly because they were not earning money. They were not bringing home the bacon. The
Mhm.
man was the main breadwinner, so they were mostly not treated with respect by their family. And no, even after they are more empowered and more financially secure and can take care of themselves, they still haven't worked on that inner work, realizing their self-worth. And that is part of the reason that they may be settling for relationships that are not aligned with what they want. They may be settling for abusive relationships, etc.
Mhm. Yes, that was a lot you said, and I can't agree with most of you actually said because it is that is really been going on the last several generations and so on, but now things are changing. But I do understand what you mean by different cultures and so on, and where people live at, because sometimes it's just actually the way how things are, but now things are changing as well. You agree?
Yes, exactly.
Tell me why you feel it is important to have a safe space to express and be yourself.
It's definitely an important mm, factor to have a safe space to express yourself, because if you are not in a safe environment to express your emotions, say what you think, and speak up for yourself, it's going to diminish your self confidence, affect your level of self esteem, self love, etc. And for example, it may be like if you are in a relationship where you are not allowed to speak up for yourself, it's going to affect what you believe about yourself. It's going to make you probably going to make you feel that I am not worthy, I am worthless because I am not allowed to speak up for myself. It's not a healthy, compatible relationship where you are not allowed to express your opinions and emotions, what you feel.
Hmm.
So, yes, having a safe space is really important.
I do agree with that. Since you mentioned safe space, do you think do you have a space for your clients if they ask for something like that?
Yes, I definitely hold space for my clients if they are especially like if they are not in a relationship, if they are in a relationship that is not aligned and that is not healthy and compatible working out for them, I definitely hold space for them, hear them out what they want to say, and possibly suggest them some alternative on what they can do to work things out with their husband. and
Hmm.
and like it may not be a husband, it may just be a partner, work things out with their partner what
Hmm.
they really want, and see if the relationship is really not aligned, see if they can walk out of the relationship. For example, if they are getting physically verbally abused and the partner is narcissistic behavior, having a narcissistic behavior, that's really not hoping that things will change. It's time to take action to change the
Hmm.
things, which is the action is to walk out of the relationship, call for help, contact police.
Hmm. Well, those are some good steps that you do for people to have a safe space, and especially for women who's in abusive relationships, since that's really common. And some women do not know how to handle themselves or not sure the proper way to handle it. So that's good
Yes,
that you offer something like that for women who actually need that type of service.
exactly. And it's as I said, it's again kind of the conditioning you got from your parents. So for example,
Hmm.
if you saw your mother getting abused by your dad, if you saw your dad raising his hands on your mother, chances are you, if you are a woman, you will settle for a relationship where you are getting abused because that is kind of the familiar pattern for you. We go after things we are familiar with because that feels safe, even if the familiar thing is not really what is working out for us and working out for someone else. It's actually because it's familiar, it's safe. And
Hmm.
as far as unfamiliar is concerned, it feels scary for us, it feels scary for our subconscious mind to go there, so we tend to avoid it. So you if you are a woman and you witness abuse in your family while growing up, chances are you will attract a man who will abuse you because that will feel safe to you. And similarly, if you are a
Hmm.
man and you witness abuse in your family and you saw your dad abusing your mother, chances are you will go on to abuse your wife because that was a pattern that felt comfortable and safe for you. You will think that if my dad was abusing my mother, chances are I can abuse my wife.
Yeah, it's since you said that, that can be true, and plus also that's sad at the same time. One other thing I mostly was thinking about when I heard you speaking about that, um, is it still or not a part of your culture that arranged marriages might happen, or that doesn't happen at all anymore?
Arranged marriages are definitely very common. It has been happening since past 100 years, and it's happened even now. Even though now people are more accepting of love marriages than what they were in the past, but yes, there are families in which they still have strict rules of only doing arranged marriages and not allowing their uh, children to find their own partner,
Mm-hmm.
and which is again part of the reason that maybe children may end up in abusive relationship, because it's at least it doesn't happen anymore now. But even though arranged marriages are common, but about 100 years ago it was very uncommon for a man and a woman to meet before marriage, like they do dating now. It was very
Hmm.
uncommon about 100 years ago for that to happen in India. The man and the woman will meet for the first time on the day of their wedding, and then they will try to work out their issues. If it is not compatible, they will try to figure out how to make it work, and or they will end up staying in the relationship which is not working out for them because of the beliefs they may have got from society and parents.
Hmm.
Even though that is not so common now, even in arranged marriages, parents encourage their children to meet their potential partner and see if it is aligned and they actually want to get married. And if it doesn't make sense to any of the children, they usually cancel the marriage. But yeah, arranged marriages are definitely still very common.
Mm, that's really interesting.
Yes.
Do you think upbringing can affect someone's mental health?
Definitely, it can play a big role in mental health. What you this or the type of upbringing and childhood you got, it can play a big role. For example, if you were in a relation, if you were in a family where you were getting witnessing domestic violence, being getting abused in any form, or seeing abuse in any form, chances are that will have a negative impact on your mental health. However, similarly, if you grow up in a loving environment where you were brought up with much care and love, that is again going to have some positive impact on your mental health.
I can agree with that. Um, since you basically mentioned self-love and that's what you mostly focus on, has some of your clients say they really enjoy your services and stuff that you offer?
Yes, they do like my services. They do. I do. I offer a 12-week program. I have a 12-week program in which I help them overcome their lack of self love issues. I help them with setting healthy boundaries with themselves and others, overcoming procrastination, getting rid of the limiting beliefs, etc.
Mhm.
These are some of the modules that I cover in my 12-week program. Since it's 12 weeks, it's 12 different topics that we work on.
So you have a
And yes,
12-week
they
program.
do enjoy my services.
Mhm. Well, that is good. Since I mentioned that, about how many clients do you have that you see
It's
mostly? I'm
uh,
just curious.
it's kind of goes up and down. Though at the moment, I'm currently seeing about 5 clients.
Mhm. Well, that's actually good because really it gives you a more in touch with them more closer since you have fewer clients at the moment because it makes you put a lot of work into them and they can ask you a lot of questions and stuff. You agree with that?
Exactly. I do believe in giving them an intimate space where they are comfortable to express themselves. So I don't like working with large groups or a lot of clients, because that maybe if, for example, if it has 20, 30 clients, that kind of sounds great, but people may be too scared to speak up for themselves and express themselves in front of such a big group.
Mhm. I can agree with that. Yes, small groups are
And
actually really good.
yeah. And even
Mhm,
with the 5 clients, I do one-on-one service.
mhm.
I I also offer group, but I mostly focus on one-on-one service. So even with those 5 clients, it's like only me and them. when we
Mhm.
are on call.
Mhm.
So it allows them to safely express themselves. It like not something they are worried about, that what they share they may be judged by what they are sharing, because they know I am not here to judge them, I am here to help them. So they
Correct.
are more openly sharing about what the issue they may be
Mhm.
experiencing.
Yes. Well, we're coming down to the end of this interview. One of the questions I'm going to ask you is, tell me what motivates you.
Something that motivates me in my business and work is seeing my clients overcoming their issues, seeing them shine their light, being confident in their career or what they want to do, being confident in their relationship, expressing their boundaries easily and safely.
Mhm. Oh, that's good. You have anything that motivates you personally?
Something that motivates me personally is definitely taking care of my own health, prioritizing myself, giving myself the self love that I encourage my clients to give themselves, treating myself with that same love and respect.
Mhm. Well, since you said self-love for yourself, what type of things you do for yourself for self-love?
So self love is something that is different for different people. Like what self love for me may not be self love for someone else. However,
Mhm.
the something that I do in self love for myself is, as I shared, mirror work, saying in front of the mirror, "I love you,"
Mhm.
and prioritizing my health, taking care of my health, physical exercise, and reading a book. I do love reading books, so it's something kind of a self love exercise for me, enjoying reading a book.
Mhm.
And if I am, if like I do have, like I'm not, I'm still a human. I do have days when I'm feeling low. So when I'm feeling low, then instead of n- instead of going down in that downward spiral, reminding myself of what I'm grateful for, focusing on the positive, listening to maybe a motivational video to encourage myself, instead of going down in that, continue to going down in that downward spiral.
Mhm. Yes. Those are all good ways that you motivate yourself because that's really important. You have to know about what motivates yourself. And it is different for everybody. You like reading, some people might not reading, but that motivates
Exactly.
you. And
Exactly.
that's important. So people got to find out like different hobbies they enjoy or what things that encourage them, correct?
Exactly. And yes, like as I said, self love can be different for different people. So for example, like some women may enjoy getting their nails done, getting their hair done, going for a spa, while some other woman may not be interested in doing something like that. So yeah, if
Mhm.
someone loves to go for loves to get their nails done, yes, go for it. It's a kind of a great self-care exercise, giving yourself that external self-care, though
Mhm.
it may not be something very self-loving for another woman. So that is great too. And again, with that example, I do like, I have seen often seen my clients who will be like, yes, I got my nails done, so I love myself. However, if I ask them what is their self talk, what are they saying to themselves, they will be like, I need to lose 10 pounds. I have so much cellulite. I am
Mhm.
fat. I am ugly. I am this. I am that. And then that is not self love, regardless of what talk. You may have got your nails done. That is good. But if your self talk is negative, if you are saying mean words to yourself, that is not really self love, regardless of that all that physical external care you may have given to yourself.
Mhm.
It's like that physical stuff that you may have done on your body, that is great self care, getting your nails done, spa, etc. But self love is a lot deeper. It is about what you are saying to yourself, what you feel about yourself, what you are saying to other people about yourself. So yes, if you are saying words that are not something you, if for example, if you have a child, and imagine what you are saying to yourself. If you won't say that things to a child, then probably you need to stop saying that to yourself. For example, we will never say to a child, you are so ugly, you are mean. But if we are saying that I'm ugly, I'm mean to ourselves, we need to change that. Because if
Hmm.
we are not saying that to a child, why are we saying that to ourselves? Why do we think that we need to say that to ourselves?
Hmm. Yes, I can really agree with that. You do need to say that you're good, you're powerful, you have things to offer to the world, you have talents, you just got to amazingly find them. So I can agree with that. But willing with like the stuff on the internet, like social media and things like that, people look at it and see other people doing things, and so that might make them judge their own selves, which is really sad, but it's actually kind of true. So you have to know how much to embrace when you're browsing the internet, seeing different things, and just stay and stuff that you enjoy doing, and don't worry about what you're seeing other people are doing plus things around you, correct?
Exactly. And yeah, that's a big mm, issue with like that's a big problem that some women experience, that comparison game. For
Hmm.
example, if they would like to lose weight and they are looking at women who are kind of like perfect figure according to them, they have that six pack abs and they look great, they will be comparing themselves, they might be comparing themselves to that woman on social media or on that magazine. They are seeing that she looks fabulous, she has that six pack ab, and here I am, I have so much weight, I have cellulite, etc.
Hmm.
So that is
Yes.
again, that is not self love, and that is again realizing that regardless of, maybe you want to lose weight, and that is great that you can exercise and lose weight, but saying to yourself that I can't love myself if I unless I lose those 10 pounds, that is not really nice. You need to love yourself even when you have 10 pounds, and that will help you lose those 10 pounds while you are giving yourself that self love.
Hmm. Yes, I can agree with that. Self-love goes a long way.
Exactly.
Well, one thing I also want to talk about along with this interview, when you sent me an email saying that you would like to be on my podcast, I was glad that you sent it if I could learn more about you. But you also mentioned that you're one of my listeners for my podcast. So I basically wanted to go ahead and tell you thank you for being one of my listeners for my podcast. And um, what do you like about my podcast? I'm just kind of curious.
It's very informal. I think it's very informal. Like, for example, your even the name of your podcast, it's consulting between friends. So, how friends are informal and friendly with each other. It's not something very very professional. You need to be at your A game, very professional and formal, which is what I like about your podcast, that it's a very informal conversation. You can be friends with the person you are speaking to.
Yes. Yes, that was my goal. Well, Karishma, one other thing before we go, can you tell my listeners how they can contact you?
Sure. So they can get in touch with me via Facebook, and I believe I have already sent you my Facebook link. They can send me a message via Facebook, or they can check out my website, elevateselflove.com. And I do have a free offering for your listeners if you are happy for me to share that.
Yes, you can share that.
Okay. So I do have a free ebook on my website on top 10 secrets to give yourself the self love and top 10 ways you can give yourself the self love you want. You can get that ebook on self love from my website. And I do have a 5-day free challenge, in which again I work one on one with my. If you are interested in doing that challenge, I will be working one on one with you, and we will work on your self love issues. We will help you. I will help you overcome your lack of self love, low self confidence, work on forgiveness, letting go of the beliefs that are not working out for you, even though you may be holding on to those beliefs. So,
Mhm.
if you are interested in doing that 5-day challenge, it's completely free, as I said. And if you are interested in doing, do reach out to me on Facebook and send me a message. And it does have an application process, even though it's free. It does have an application process, and the application process is really just like I will be asking you a few questions on what do you want to work on, and how committed are you to achieving that goal, etc., and how like when are you ready to achieve that goal, how important is that for you, like it's a now thing or a later thing, etc. I will be
Mhm.
asking you a few questions which is like the part of the application process. So yes, if you are interested in doing the challenge, do reach out to me on Facebook. And yes, if you can also tell me that you listen to this podcast and that is how you found me, that would be great, because obviously if you have spent an hour listening to a podcast on self love, that says a lot that you are really committed on working on yourself and having that self love in your life, compared to someone who may have never listened to a podcast or never listened to my podcast on self love. So
Mhm.
yes, if you have listened to that podcast, it's also if you like. I may get a lot of messages. So if you tell me that you have listened to this podcast and that is how you found me, chances are you will get a faster response compared to someone else.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that you offer that to my listeners. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And Karishma, thank you for being a guest on Consulting Between Friends podcast.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure to be on your show. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I really did enjoy interviewing you today and learning more about you.
Thank you.
After a short break, we will return. We are back. In closing, I hope the information was valuable to my listeners. Loving yourself first is noble. Some people have trouble loving themselves. So that is why a self love expert has the tools to lift people's spirits about themselves. The techniques provided by Karishma Gotham, a self love expert, were helpful to anyone who needs this guidance. Karishma also explains how she has overcome struggles with self love. I am glad I had the opportunity to interview Karishma Gotham and learn more about her and her profession. My listeners, I hope you can support what Karishma has to offer as a self love expert. One last thing, remember to support local businesses, and relaxation is vital for your mental clarity. Thank you for listening to Consulting Between Friends. This podcast is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, as well other platforms that are available. So like and subscribe. Need to contact us and leave us a comment? You can find us on Instagram at consulting the letter B friends. Once again, consulting B friends. An email address is consulting the letter B friends at gmail.com. Once again, consulting B friends at gmail.com. Consulting Between Friends now has a merch online store called Podcast Merch Headquarters. This is where you can buy merch to show your support for the podcast. Some items to choose from are t-shirts, tumblers, and hoodies, as well many other things I know you will appreciate. So take the time to review the items in the store. The link will be available in the podcast notes under Podcast Merch Headquarters. Thanks again for the support. If you have an extra minute, it would be greatly appreciated if you could answer a few questions regarding the quality of the podcast. The link will be in the description. Consulting Between Friends. Thanks to everyone for making this possible. The host, Michael Holmes Jr., the producer and content creator, Michael Holmes Jr., cover art by Michael Holmes Jr., original music, a DJ named Slash, special guest, Karishma Gotham, self-love expert, references, Psychology Today, Very Well Mind, content distributor, My Producer Podcasts.